Before we start things off here, this is editor Matt in the future with 2 quick notes. Emily's audio had some issues, so if you hear her cut out a bit, at some points that is why. And you'll also hear her talk about religion later on this episode, as it's a big theme to today's game. When she mentions Catholic, she really means Christian. All right, thanks, and enjoy the episode.
Back in the day, around like 2008, when like the internet was really taking off, there were a lot of like different freeware games. So one of like if you want to talk about some of like the biggest ones, you have like games like Cave Story, for example, which is another game we're gonna try to play. And is it Yume Nikki? Yeah, that one where it's like a horror game. And a lot of these games were made in RPG Maker. It's a pretty old way of essentially like programming your game without like entirely learning how to program. It gives you a lot of like cheat codes and like easier ways and easier tools and a lot more explanations so that you can like get kickstarted on a game. So one of the biggest games that came out around that period of time was Off. It's a game by Mortis Ghost, and it's been kind of like a cult classic for a very long time. I hate saying off and then off-putting, but very specifically, like with the way that we typically look at RPGs, there's a lot more like glitz and glamour. There's a lot more heroics and like beauty to the worlds that they exist in. Like for example, if we talk about games like Final Fantasy VII, right? Like it's kind of ugly, but there's a beautiful world underneath it that they're fighting for and fighting to protect. And Off, it's kind of like, I guess, the antithesis of that, the opposite. It's about essentially a world that is completely fucked, disgusting, and nasty. And your main character, who, by the way, is separate from you because you are the main character, basically goes on a quest to destroy the world and put an end to all of it through purification. Um, Very weird, kind of like interesting, the terminology, and it feels like very good in a modern sense. I think this game has aged rather well for like
Oh, yeah.
how old it is. Everything still feels extremely relevant, and it inspired a lot of like other like RPGs or JRPG inspired games. Of note, of course, is like Toby Fox's Undertale. So when we go back into this game, again, the original game came out in 2008, but they decided to like finally remake it in 2025. I feel like a lot of people were very passionate about it. So with the remake being made, they did a lot of like graphical changes to like the battle UI. They added a bunch of new bosses, which were really fun. They changed up the soundtrack with a lot of the people who worked on the soundtrack being present for those like early computer like games, like making the music, and especially like Toby Fox coming back and like working on the soundtrack too. He gets a cameo very early on in the game as well, and it makes it a very, very cool remake. Like it feels really good. But yeah, those are like a basic summary of the game, and I kind of want to like hand it off to like you guys to see what you think.
Yeah, so one thing that popped in my head is an observation when you were talking is like talking about how you are separate as the player with the way that they narrate things, and also in general it's like there's a lot of just kind of meta like takes about games and game making in general, and like, you know, quirks of RPG. Like you find the same merchant throughout, and there's like a specific joke I'm remembering where he's like, well, of course I'm here as the important merchant, and it's here,
Yeah.
you know, like you gotta have the merchant if it's an RPG. Like,
Zach pops up a lot.
yeah, like it's required. So those things I found interesting. Things that are always making like Like I like Scream, for example, because I appreciate that it's doing its own thing while at the same time like making a commentary about the genre that it falls into in itself. So I think Off did the same thing, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
I wish we had 2 more months to
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I like there's so much there with the world and with how it's written. As a game,
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it. I loved it.
Yeah.
There's some genre conventions of the JRPG that just aren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like some of the looping at the
Yeah.
end with the queen. How if you want to do all the different endings, you have to fight her 3 times in like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I
Yeah.
get lost in that. Super aside thing.
Yeah.
But as a game, I fucking loved it. As a written piece, as like a narrative, I wish I had more time so badly because the things about the elements, the meat, the smoke, the plastic, the metal,
The first element, Emily.
meat, the first element.
Yeah.
No, the first element. Plastic.
I was gonna try and segue us to Off because of that discussion earlier.
And you know what? Fine. I was losing my
Yeah.
fucking mind.
Yeah.
It's so fun. The way it's written is so fun.
Yeah.
Like I have one interpretation of what I think is going on in the narrative. You guys, everybody, I feel like could have
We should
different
talk about
interpretations.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, which is super important to say, I don't think it fucking matters what's going on. I'm not someone's like,
Yeah.
I think the intention. I am very much the like, oh, anything. There's something called reader response theory, which is just each reader is going to have a different interpretation. I subscribe to that a lot. Subjectivism in art. But at the same time, for a piece like this, most pieces, frankly, but a piece like this, I don't think it fucking matters what it means. Because it was so fun to engage with and to be in. I was having a fucking blast the whole time. And finding all the little... I think, Matt, I don't know if you're going to be, like, putting them in, but, like, my notebook of just, like, what I was going through and things I was observing, I was having so much fun taking fucking notes on this game.
Yeah.
I remember talking to like Emily and I was just like, please, because I didn't take notes. I just decided to do pictures because I had already gone through that early on and I had already done like the notes and things for stuff. So I was kind of lazy, and especially because of the amount of time that we had, I didn't really want to take notes. But I saw that Emily was taking notes when she was doing like a live stream, and I basically asked, hey, like when you're done, please send like screenshots of like the notes that you took, just because it feels good to just like go back and kind of like play a game where like you don't completely understand the world and like you don't have everything kind of spoiled for you. Off, like, again, it's been around since 2008, so like there are guides that like kind of explain each of your puzzle. I think all of us tried our best like not to really rely on guides unless we had to. So it was cool seeing like Emily like taking notes and like going through it and like drawing and doing like the sketches of different things. It's really cool.
Yeah, honestly, like when you brought that up in the group chat, like that's what spurred me to make a video about it, because like for me, this was really the first game that I've played, and I've played a lot of RPGs before, but I've never really played a game that's one of those note-taking games. So I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but honestly, like I enjoyed it because it is like it's a new kind of experience, right? And it's challenging kind of the interactive medium in itself, because you're physically writing stuff. So like I regret that I just took screenshots. I feel like I cheapened my experience. But if you're going there in notes, it's like you just get more immersed in it, I feel too. Like it's such a great proponent to that. So I'm really hoping that like, especially if we play it for this podcast, I have a like Tunic, I'm hoping eventually now at some point. I don't know when, but if whenever we get to like one of those games again, whether it's here or just on my own, like I definitely want to just take notes and like take my time with it a little bit more too, just in the sense of just
Yeah.
like just enjoy like because I think it is just such like a novel experience. It's not often that you have something that is making you to the point of going to like, let me go get a notebook and like draw these
Right.
symbols
Yeah.
because I might need this in like 45 minutes or like 4 to 5 hours. So yeah, I really appreciated
the
that.
the thing about it too that I really liked was that I feel like we with the way that the internet has kind of connected us, like it's very easy to get the answers for what you need without actually having direct communication or
Mhm.
talking to people. Um, with the way that old JRPGs used to work, like whether or not you were going to like a blockbuster or whether or not you were going to a game store, if you got stuck on something, like you were kind of expected to like talk to somebody, like ask somebody, like, "Hey, what did you do here?" And then they would tell you like their own tips and tricks on like how to do things, on where to go, and it created that sense of a community for gamers very early on that's kind of like lasted over a longer period of time. And with this game in particular, like I find it kind of felt that like tradition coming back where it was like, oh, like I could talk to my friends or ask them if they get like stuck on things, like where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to do things? And it felt nice to like have like other people playing it as the same time as me in case like I got stuck. Unfortunately, I was the one who finished the game first because I was like, fuck it, I'm balling, and I just
Yeah.
like no lifed it for like a couple days. But like I was like, if you guys need help, if you need specific things, like just ask me. I solved most of the game by myself. I only like looked at like directions mostly for like where to go, but for the most part, like I pretty much solved all the puzzles on my own, which was really fun. Um, but I think the other thing that really the note taking adds to this, and note taking in particular, is a lot of the dialogue is like pretty creepy. Like it's very weird, and a lot of the things that like you have to take note of are very like disturbed imagery. A lot of like Christian Catholic religious imagery comes into play
Mhm.
here. And
Mhm.
so like when you're writing out stuff about like purification, the end of the world, like the days that saints die is like one of the earlier puzzles. When you look at your notes, it makes you kind of feel uncomfortable. I remember like the first time I took them, like I walked away from my desk and it was like during the daytime and I got like creeped out by the way that they kind of looked. It was like demonic in a way, like when I actually went back and looked at my notes.
Yeah, I mean, oh,
You can go
um,
first.
yeah, I mean, to that point, so I was gonna say something. Um, it, I'm in a very weird time right now where a lot of this stuff that I'm researching, like my personal research, is in the realm of game studies and interactivity and narrative.
Mhm.
But my classes are, I'm also a medievalist, which means that if you're studying medieval Europe, you are studying the history of Catholicism, which
Mm.
horrifying in many ways. But there's one of my classes is like queerness and transness in medieval literature. So you're reading a lot of awful Catholic text,
Yeah.
or I'll
Yeah.
say Christian, not Catholic, Christian, to amend myself. Um, but there is like little hints of interest you find yourself through the absence. But like looking through it, it's like yeah, there's a ton of stuff in here about like the Trinity, about saints' holidays,
Mhm.
Yeah.
about saints and where and when they died, and when their feast days are, and all of that.
Mhm.
Um, so which is so interesting. But what I was going to say um, is to Nick, to your point. Not only were a lot of and Matt had sent a video to our chat um, talking about like yeah it was about let's plays, but more it did also mention how games were collaborative in terms of forums, but to go even further back, early games were meant to be played with multiple people. So
Yeah.
for example, like Colossal Cave Adventure, which is the father of the RPG, was a game that was made by a divorced man. He was a spelunker. I can't remember if his whole spelunking, But a way that he wanted to connect with his two daughters was he made this game, Colossal Cave Adventure, that was meant to be played with two people. One person essentially acting as like a reference librarian for information on the game, and the other person like knowing through muscle memory how to navigate the halls, what buttons did which, because UIs were very different back then. It didn't tell you what button to press. You had to like. So you had someone that was like a command center of knowledge and actually happen in the game. And a lot of early games were like that. Early Might and Magic, not Heroes of Might and Magic, Might and Magic, was like that. I played that a couple years ago. It's very different, but it's so cool how I played that with a friend at the time, and it's so interesting how these games not meant to be played in a silo. You were meant to be sitting around together to make shit happen. Game history is so fucking cool. But yeah, no, and then that turned to forums, and then that turned to multi games, game guides also, although less person to person. But even then, people would take those game books. I shouldn't say game books. Those game guides, and go through to find what's wrong in them, and go to forums to correct what's wrong. So even then, it was still like a collaborative effort. Gaming has always been a community thing, and I think that's neat.
Yeah, I was when Nick was talking about the themes and everything, and he wants to touch on it a bit after this, but I feel like as I progress through the story more and more, even though we're set up as the like protagonist, with the batter, like I kept asking myself, like, are we the baddies? Like
I think it's pretty obvious from like maybe the first couple minutes of that game we're kind of the baddies. Yeah, like he has a baseball bat that he uses to cave skulls in of like these little cute ghost guys. Like
I was waiting for someone to talk about the baseball bat.
Yeah.
He has his hammer in front of me for 2 hours.
Yeah, but I think it definitely like sunk in more as time went, because like when I was playing, I was just like, okay, it's an RPG, like there's some weird stuff going on with this world, like I'm just leveling up my character like I normally would, I'm going and doing the tasks and going on the adventure I have to, but I definitely like, and we could talk about when we get to the ending, it's like that is kind of what informed my decision. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the ending is like I think really what ties together this game really well. There's a lot that happens in the ending that kind of like flips your idea of like what this game really is about and what the narrative is about.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But like, so for me personally too, like playing off, especially in like 2025, is a very like interesting game because it's just like a lot of the problems that what they're called in the games are burnt. They're basically like humans, but they just get like overworked to the point where their heads literally explode. They're basically trying to like survive in this world that is nonsensical and pretty horrific. Going off later in the story, there are three guardians of each zone, and then you have like the queen, and you have the baby. And it's interesting because like the guardians of these zones, when they set out to make each location, they all had like this beautiful world in mind. Like they all set out to do something spectacular, which you get to see towards the end of the game. But like what ends up happening is that these worlds just end up so like fucked up and disgusting. Like there's like blood for water, like plastic islands, that they have to inhale, and this impacts these people every single day. Every one of these burns has to like deal with it, and on top of that they have like increasing workloads to try to fix things, but at this point like it's unfixable. Like there's no way to save this world. It's already over. So I think it's really interesting because in this era of like isolation, and especially like with like religion, it seems like like essentially the batter had this like religious awakening, and
Yeah.
instead of trying to solve the problems that exist in the world, he just decides to burn it down. He doesn't care anymore, and like it leads to these bigger ideas of like just resetting everything, and with the title again being off, like just essentially destroying the world because there's no way of saving it. And like we were talking about with like more of the religious themes, even like the companions that you have, like Alpha, Omega, and Epsilon, which I think we should talk about later when we talk about Queen. They're these tools like that are supposed to be like your party members, but in reality they are just circles, and that's it. Like they aren't like real people.
Yeah.
They're just tools, weapons that like the batter can essentially utilize to destroy this world outright. And it's just very sad because like he is essentially going on this holy quest to kill everybody there. And you know, it seems like he has some kind of divine backing, whether in his head or in reality. With like Alpha, Omega, and Epsilon all having like subtitles like Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Like that is very on the nose for like what the game is
Yeah,
trying to talk
I
about.
think when I saw that real quick, like I think when I saw
Yeah.
that on the character screen, that was one of the things where I was like, "Oh wait, hold on." Like, I mean, there was a lot of stuff before that with like, Emily talking about religious things and like the puzzles. Like I was picking up on that, but like when I saw that, that was like a big aha moment for me as well of like
Yeah.
what was going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because when I'm playing through this, and again, I really wish I had more time to sit with this. I'm sure
Yeah.
my interpretation would like change a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I see this as like kind of two stories that are doing the same thing a little bit. Both things can be true.
Yeah.
It's a Crusades narrative.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a very religious sense of you have a character on a purification quest through these different lands, um, regardless of what happens to the people who live there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They are burnt. If you are familiar with how the Crusades went, there was a lot of burning people. That was a thing. Specifically, the unpure people deemed heathens, that sort of thing. And by that, we do mean like through the Islamic world, right? It
And
was it was
and just real
Abrahamic. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, go finish it.
It was Abrahamic on Abrahamic violence. Christianity basically waging war on the Islamic world. What
And
were you gonna say?
going just with the like you mentioned unpures, you could talk about just the specters. The specters are what are considered unpured in this world.
Yes, yeah, the specters. Although there does become like a breakdown because then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is against specters. This is against beasts, which are
Yeah.
how are they different from specters? In theory, but they're
Yeah.
not treated any different. They're just like weak to different elements.
Mm-hmm.
A sea of plastic. The ground is made out of metal. Inhale smoke. Right? Things are derived. Metal is derived presumably through blood, which I'm losing my fucking mind about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even think it fucking matters. So
Yeah.
I do see that Crusades narrative. And yeah, the facelessness of Alpha, Omega, and Epsilon as the faceless soldiers that were, on both sides slaughtered through the Crusade. So there's that. But the other element that I really see here is the lowercase c crusade of like a, and again, this is my interpretation. I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys have to think of
Mm-hmm.
like a father who has lost his child and is
Yep.
just like ripping through everything because you enter this zone where nothing matters, nothing makes sense. Everything's been so defamiliarized, and it just burn it, bleach it, start over, fuck it,
Yep.
destroy it. And that is also what it feels like. Is it is a father waging war on his world and perception of the world to just wipe the slate clean because nothing else matters. Everything is it's all Jover.
Yeah.
My microphone is in my headphones. Uh, so yeah, I do see it as an uppercase crusades as well
Mm-hmm.
as a personal crusade. And it's so cool. It's such a cool little story. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert, this has jumped to the top of my list of
Let's
favorites.
go. Let's
So, Hi-Fi
go.
Rush, I'm sorry you're it's a little bit lower, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, so continuing with like the crusade narratives, I think that's like a very like interesting way to kind of put it and like talk about
I
it.
thought about the same
Um,
thing, honestly. Like I got that
yeah,
same vibe about the Crusades.
with I guess like talking about his quest for purification, if you decide to do like go for like the true ending, which you really don't have to do, it's kind of a painstaking thing. One of the things that you kind of learn about purification is like its impact within the world of the game. Once you purify an area, like when the specters are all gone, all of the citizens are killed by these things called alphas, which are so powerful that they just kill everything in each zone.
Were
That's
those
what those,
alphas or were they called something else?
I think they were called alphas. I could be wrong. They're the big giant baby
Big
guys. You
babies.
know what I'm saying?
I thought
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
had a different name.
If it's a different name, then just let me know. I thought it was alphas for whatever
I
reason.
feel like
I
you're
could be
right.
I could be wrong.
I could be
Um,
confabulating too, but I think they're alphas.
no, Emily's got this. The internet will
Okay.
save us today. Yeah. But we're gonna refer to them as alphas and put a little text bubble when I'm inevitably wrong, saying that I am wrong. But the essentially those big baby guys, they kill
Secretaries.
everything. Secretaries,
Secretaries.
that's correct. That's
Oh,
the
they were
correct term.
secretaries.
Secretaries, yeah. So they kill everything there and like leave these zones completely empty. The only time you come back to a zone and there's like somebody there is like you find the judge kind of like looking for his lost brother and like mourning the fact that like he can't find him and he can't like smell him anymore or like hear him, which
Mm-hmm.
is just so sad because it's like the rest of this world now it feels so empty and like the one other character there, which is like the judge, just can't like find his family and he's like very distraught. The judge looking also a lot like the Cheshire Cat, which is interesting since he's supposed to help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Um, Going more into like with the judge too, his zone, like zone 0, is supposed to be representative of something that's incomplete. So that's why it kind of looks like that. It's like not finished yet, as opposed to like zone 1, 2, and 3, which are like the completed versions of their worlds. That's why it's kind of ethereal and weird. But it's just a neat little thing that they kind of do with that to play around with it. But even like when going for the extra bosses, you kill somebody in like the basement of zone 0, and essentially like even Zach, like this connection that the two of you had kind of breaks off and he basically says like, I guess it had to be done, but I don't like this friendliness kind of turns to like this sadness and this coldness between like these two characters. um and I think that adds to that kind of narrative of like the second crusade, right? Of that sense of isolationist between like these people that care about you. You are somebody who, you know, in any other RPG, the two characters like Zach and Judge would probably be your friends, but you essentially intentionally hurt both of them, creating a greater sense of isolation from like the people who are supposed to be like your compatriots, your helpers. And then on top of that too, you have that like final boss fight with the queen where you essentially cut off the rest of your family. And that whole like final zone, it's zone 4, correct? Or I forget if it had like a specific name.
For which one?
Um for the weird one,
The
like
ending.
the trippy one, the last
Oh,
zone.
it was the room.
It was the room, that's what it's called. Um that last level is very interesting because it gives you a lot of backstory of the world. It shows you with the guardians talking about like essentially making a new world, not to be worried. And it also goes into like your relationship with your son and like how you're essentially trying to relate and connect with him, but like he there's like no connection there as well. And one of the neat little things that kind of comes about it is that at one point, like you give your son this comic book that you love and he doesn't like it, but the comic book has this like boxer fighting a villain called, funny enough, the Batter as well. So not only do you kind of commit these crimes within this world, but you've also accepted the fact that you are a monster to these people and you don't care because at this point, like all you have as your journey is to just shut everything off and turn it off. Eventually this leads you to confronting the queen and what is your son? And with the queen, like she tries like an attempt at least to like calm you down at first before just enraging you into like killing her. And one of the craziest things, and the reason why I like this is weird, but like I don't like going back to get all the true endings for the game. But one of the things that I noticed, which I don't think I would have noticed if I didn't do that, was that at the last moment of that boss battle with the queen, agency is directly taken away from the player, and the Batter kills the queen by himself. You don't do it. You get the final blow, but he goes through and hits her like consecutively within like a long period of turns before you finally get to just kind of like put in those final options. And then again, you kill your son right after that. And again, this is so weird too because this is just over like a slice of cake that she says you don't deserve. Like you just get infuriated and you try to essentially rage and kill her. So it makes this weird kind of like narrative where is this stuff that's happening real or is this like all kind of taking place in the Batter's head? And it's very strange. um
One of my favorite lines in the game is in that fight.
yeah.
And so the way I view it is like if we are looking at this from the perspective of like the familial like the father's personal fight. And then this would be the two parents if you like blaming each other for
Yep.
what happens to their kid, not an uncommon thing that happens in a tragic situation. But the line that I love so much, and it was originally mistranslated into English, but the line as it's supposed to be translated is, I had to look it up. I won't let you lay a finger on the that brought us into the world. That idea of the child bringing parents into the world is so fucking, because that's the thing. Like you're not a parent until you are not a parent. You're something else. You're a not parent. But the idea that that identity, that conception of yourself, is created by your kid it's so fucking interesting. Line, and I love that so much because I think that feeds so much into like what's going on with the Batter and the Queen and why she's fucking faceless. You're fucking faceless until you're a horrible alligator thing. And I love how you like.
They call it they always describe it as a duck. It's so fucking
Mm.
funny. They're like, you're a weird duck looking thing. Like they say it multiple times in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
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 It's cool though, and the big fucking hand. But like
Yeah.
you're faceless. The Queen is faceless because the kid is dead. Your identity, like the identity, has
Yep.
been wiped. And I think that's really fucking neat because the Batter, he has a little bit of personality that comes out through the game. But
Yeah.
it is mostly just like that doggedness of like,
Yeah.
nope, this is what I'm doing. Nothing, no other flavor. There's a little bit like in the amusement park zone, like he wants to sit in the particular seat of the roller coaster,
It's funny, yeah.
which is
Right.
funny.
Right.
There was something else of like at one point you try to like go in a direction or do something. It's like, I don't want to do that. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess I'm not doing that. Which is neat. I do wish it pushed a little bit more, not necessarily his personality, but in telling the player no, to
Yeah.
emphasize the fact that you are not the Batter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like over the Batter's shoulder. But
Mhm.
I still thought that it was cool and fun. But yeah, if I didn't do the Queen fight 3 times within like 20 minutes, I would have loved it. I did love it. I did love it. But that, because I was trying to get multiple endings. And
Mhm.
fun fact,
Did
actually,
you
so
did you do the true ending as well for the
I didn't. I know everything about it, but when I went to do it, I realized that I had to fight I had to get the other items to open the basement trapdoor, and I was like, huh. I'm
Well,
not gonna do that.
no, there's two separate things. It's like there's like a true ending which requires you to just go back into the zones and get an item essentially. You
Yeah.
have to do like one special fight, and the other thing is just like a special thing for the new game. Yeah. So the trapdoor is different. Yeah. The trapdoor is different.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the actual endings that I did get were the first one I did was when you side with the judge, fight the batter,
Yeah.
and then I did vice versa the second time because I knew how it ends. Like I didn't know a lot about the game going in, but I did know that portion.
Okay.
And then when I went to fight, my French is bad. Sucre. I was like, oh, I need other items. Oh, there's the other bosses, right? Not right now.
Yeah.
I will be going back to do that.
She's the only mandatory one for like the special ending. That's the only mandatory boss. The rest of them are just like additional, but they do have lore implications we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I do very much want to. I'm going to be replaying this game. I'm going to be thinking about this fucking game because it reminds me a lot of my favorite game, one of my favorite games, which maybe I'll talk about later, but it's so fucking fun. Gotta keep hyping it up. Oh, shit.
My note is small and very stupid here, but one of the lines that really humored me towards the beginning was when you're in zone 1 and it's like one of the first times you really like are seeing a scene with the Guardian there. And he's like talking with I texted Nick about it.
The Guardians are pretty funny.
Yeah.
The Guardians are good.
Yeah, so basically like the Burnt is talking and they're doing like a little back and forth, and it's your classic like I am a minion, so I'm gonna get talked down to, because he's like trying to explain the situation, and the Guardian's just like, listen here, you little shit.
I'm not time for this. The world is ending.
That literally made me laugh out loud. I'm like, yeah, this is funny. I enjoy this right now.
Yeah.
And then quickly, I wanted to say too that to talk about the ending I did the secret ending where I took Judge's side, and then I just like wanted that as my canon ending, honestly. Like I could have done the flip side, but I just felt like, as I said earlier, it was like, you know what, like the batter like really sucks, honestly. Like he kind of deserves this, so I think I'm just gonna like stay with, I feel like this makes sense, like this is my ending now and I'm just gonna go about my day. So I was satisfied with that, but yeah, I just did the one.
What's interesting about the endings too that I really like is that they don't feel very satisfying no matter what. Like the actual fights themselves are way easier in comparison to pretty much every other fight in the game. They aren't like you necessarily like winning and accomplishing something. It's just like an easy victory because you've already obtained this power and nothing is going to stop you on your barrel to kind of like end this world.
For me, I felt it was like, because the judge is just like super cracked, that it's just like he has all the, but like you could totally argue that it also is inherent just from like a narrative sense as well. I totally think you could argue that.
I think too, my brother said this and I thought it was just like an interesting concept to just bring up to the both of you. But he said that like a lot of the characters in the game perceive the batter as just that, like just this faceless man who's like kind of on his quest, but only certain characters can discern like the actual true form, which is that the judge sees it, right? That like duck weird alligator looking thing. My brother essentially made the like said the idea of what if this is like certain characters can kind of see the shape of the batter's soul in a way. More like most people just perceive him on face value, but like for example, the judge who had his brother killed, well, not really, kind of killed, because like his brother was already dead by the time like the batter actually gets there to it. What's the bird's name? Is it Jacques?
Jacques,
Jacques, sorry about the fucked up Jacques, but
that's fine.
But it's
Japhet.
The Phoenix.
Yes.
So fucked up. I love it.
Yeah, that boss fight was okay. The
So
boss
fun.
fights in general were great. Like every boss fight in this game is amazing. But it's kind of cool because like the judge can perceive him, and you kind of see this monster's figure. And I think you're kind of shocked, like when you choose that ending, that this is like what your main character looks like to him. Like everybody
Mhm.
else sees him as just the batter. You see him the entire game as that, and then like when you take the opposition, this is what your main character looks like. This is this terrible
True.
fucking monster thing.
Mhm.
I'm scrolling through because the dialogue at the end with the if you take the ending that Defaz and I think favor,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
special ending when you fight the batter.
Yeah.
I think it's the best one too. Like if you're gonna talk about it, it's not the canon ending. The canon ending is him shutting it off, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and I think it's very it's interesting because when you kill the queen, you kill the queen, you fight the queen. That is very much like obviously the combat thing. It's a thing that you've been building
Yeah.
towards.
Mhm.
But the next thing that happens is she is blocking the way to the child, sitting there playing with something. I think he might have been playing with raw meat. It might have been a
Mm.
toy. It might have been a blanket. It's hard to tell with the art style. I don't care.
Yeah.
No.
And then you fight him, and he doesn't do anything. And my
Yep.
instinct, my knee-jerk reaction after playing this game is, again, as someone who knows going in, the instinct was to I just kept hitting defend. I just
Yeah.
kept or defense or whatever it is, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to hit this kid. I don't want to hurt this
Yeah.
kid because like waiting kind of to see if he's gonna attack me, but he gets like the diamond
Nope.
that's like nothing. So it felt fucking bad to start
Yeah.
wailing on this kid. And that was just so well done. And then when you get to you go through this series of hallways with like branch out points that looks like a spine leading into a skull.
Yeah.
It truly does. And then that's when the judge approaches you, and he leads the confrontation with and I'm trying to find the actual quote, but I don't think it's where he points out that you just killed a woman and child.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you
Mhm.
fucking did.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's so I like that it calls it out because at its face, yeah, that's what you did. But the fact that if we are like taking this as like kind of this abstract familial thing, yeah, whether or not I'm not saying that I think that like oh this character like killed his wife and kid. No, but like I think he killed his image of them. Like I think
Yeah.
he like you know
I think he killed them. If we like
you
want to have the
okay.
discussion, I think he did actually just kill them. Like that's kind of the reason why I say that is because in the previous version of this game, I'm pretty sure like when you kill a boss, they just kind of vanish and they disappear. And this one, it shows you the corpses
That's true.
of each of the bosses laying down on the floor, like there, and like they stay on the screen and they stay there. I think up until like you leave the area and it like resets to do like the purified zone thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. God, I wish I could find the lines that I'm thinking of. But when the judge approaches you outside of that, like he calls you an imposter. Like
Yeah.
he calls out the fact that the batter is not what he looks like. And I'm trying to find the lines because I'm trying to remember. Maybe you guys do. If it was like he had that
Uh
realization while off screen, and now he is confronting you, or if it's something that he has been like tracing and tracking, and now that you've
so
like shown your hand, he's gonna like he's getting you.
he says, I must say that I had to place the blindest of confidence, the solidest of hopes, and the most sincere belief in you. And then he says, well, but the real betrayer is rather the one who lies beyond the eye of the cat. So he's kind of talking about like the player being
Yeah.
the worst part of this game.
Yeah, because the thing is,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, here it
you're
is the opaque mist of the sceneristic frame really your excuse for killing wife and child?
Mic drop.
And it makes sense that, like, yeah, the player is the real betrayer because you're
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
betraying the judge and killing everyone in the world,
Yeah.
which would be a betrayal if you're trying to, like, purify and
Yeah.
save them.
Yeah.
So you're either betraying the entire world of the judge or betraying this character that you spent the entire fucking game,
Yeah.
like, building
yeah.
up, protecting, like, guiding.
Mm-hmm.
You,
And that's the thing
you're taking that
too.
along.
Like inherently, it's taking that genre of the RPG of this thing that you are often okay. As I said earlier, like we have this task. We're gonna set out to do it. I'm gonna find my party members throughout, and we're gonna like learn and grow as a team. And I'm gonna get new abilities and attacks and get more powerful. And it's so you have all that of like a typical scaling dynamic of an RPG, and you just completely rug pull it in terms of what Emily's saying. It's like, okay, now we're gonna betray this whole concept, or we're just gonna continue being the baddie and betray the person who was our first friend on this quest. So it's a double-edged sword, but like that is a great thing for a game to do. Like Claire Obscure is something that to like sideline really quickly that also did a similar thing of having a, you know, quote unquote controversial ending that has multiple choices that is really just like a discussion starter. It is a smart thing to do, especially when like your audience you think is going to be more people that want to like go out and discuss this with other people in a similar way that we're doing right now. So, yeah, I really think it was intentional and smart for them to do that.
I think too, like just talking about like the ways that this like RPG kind of felt off. Sorry. It like I feel like you can't get around it. Like they just intentionally like made it that word because it perfectly describes like everything about it. Like its entire vibe is just off-putting.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah, you can't like
you can't say that you completed the game without
feeling
stepping
like
through a landmine.
Yeah.
Minefield.
Yeah.
But the the first attack that I saw, like the first special attack you get is like running with dementia, and you use that on the burns. So it's like their greatest weakness is just getting dementia and dying. Like that's what the game is telling you. Like that doesn't feel good, and that doesn't like bode well for like the way that we as a player are kind of like interacting within the world, right? Like it just it's like using that choice, it sounds so like minor because like when you're flicking through the menus just to like beat through bosses and stuff like that, but then like you see stuff like that within your menu and it's like, oh, am I inflicting this onto somebody? Is this like something he can do? This is terrible, right? Like this is the character that's supposed to be your main guy, like the hero of the journey, and he's just going around and doing that. Like I don't know, it's weird.
And I think I actually interpreted that move specifically a little bit differently, which is cool. For me, it was part of like his erasing of like his perception of the world. So I imagine that it was him running with his own dementia. Now,
like, I guess that's correct. Yeah, I mean,
like I just beat these workers up, but like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah. I'm purifying. I'm wiping the slate clean. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. But the other thing that I was gonna say is about I think Matt, it was you that had been talking, but I could be wrong. About when the batter is attacking you when you are at that ending, it's so fucking unsettling to see the moves that you have been using like being used against you. It's so it's something that's so small, but that familiarity that has been turned into something that is aggressive is so fucking neat. It's such a little thing, but it was impactful. It genuinely was.
I do want to. I feel like we've talked a lot about the story, but I think we should kind of get maybe more superficially into the aesthetics of the world and how it kind of like adds like weight to that narrative. One of the things that I think is really funny, and big spoilers for the end of the game. I know we spoiled the game. It came out in 2008, but this is the remake. But this is the remake. So this is a spoiler for remake only that I think you should care about. One of the things I had mentioned when I first started playing the game was that I was really sad that they did not put Pepper Steak as the main battle music for the beginning of the game. Pepper Steak is the battle theme that runs throughout the entirety of the original off from 2008, and it's very uncomfortable. Like it's like this off
Yeah.
this weird kind of, what's the word? It's like swing step or electro swing kind of sound. Electro swing, but the beats and the timing of things are super off and distorted.
I haven't listened to it in a while. I think it's syncopated.
Big word. Okay.
You're right.
Big word. We gotta.
Rhythm, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, but sure. I'm gonna agree with you for the sake of it.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they decided that they were gonna change it for like a composition that Toby Fox did called White Meat. Each of the zones there's like the original White Meat, and then they get like a special version depending on the zone, but it kind of starts to get like sludgier as like you continue in the game. Like it just gets like grosser sounding and like muddier. It's eventually culminates with the last like the final battle. They bring back like White Meat, but it's so sick because like I was sitting there. Picture me in my underwear and like t-shirt, sweating it out in the middle of the night with the headphones on. So the nice thing about it was that like at the very end of it all, like I'm just like sitting back listening to the music, and I'm like in the wave of like listening to this like final remix of White Meat, and then all of a sudden they start playing Pepper Steak. And after that, Pepper Steak and White Meat battle for control within the song for like which song is playing and when. And I lost my fucking mind. I was like, what the fuck? But all this to say, this leads into more like larger implications about this remake and the game that was just very cool because of the actual like song and music choices that they decided to use, like while kind of putting this new version of the game together.
Yeah, I think it's neat. Like, I think that's a great point because the game, this is a remake, but I say that with like a lot of asterisks, and it's in conversation with the original. I've never played the original. This was really my first engagement with it, but then I went back and I did some reading, and there's so much that is changed or altered. We didn't have to go through the fucking spoiler alert. We didn't have to go to the remake. I knew that was a thing
but that's so upsetting.
He messaged me about that. I think that would have like simultaneously pissed me off because of how like granular it is as a solution, but also I would have had the vibe of like, you sick bastard, but also I am like really excited that is what I had to do.
He knew that like people would not read the readme. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, like it reminds me the same way as like when I played through Metal Gear Solid for the first time this year, and the fucking is it Psycho Mantis or is it the other one where you have to do the like the specific like inputs on the controller or put it on the ground, like it's some fuck shit you have to do for and I just love that. I love like subverting, this is gonna sound so like stupid scholarly, but like subverting expectations in games is like so cool, like way cooler than like other mediums.
Can I say one more cool thing about that actually?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you did this, but so to get a secret to unlock a door later on, you have to give a music box to what's his name again? Zach. If you give the music box to Zach, he gives you a hint, which is like basically read the readme, and then like
Mm-hmm.
you go and you continue your day. In this one, because like there's no like readme, they basically like say, oh, the code was behind your
Oh
screen,
yeah.
and then they go awkwardly and it goes
Yeah.
and then it's like the code. But the whole thing is that if you read the readme and keep the music box, you can actually give it to your kid. And he says, like, out of like all the terrible things that you've done for him, on the third day, he gave me a music box.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That fucked me up. And you get an item from it too. You get a really strong item as well.
That shit's so. I thought
Yeah.
super side tangent. I dropped my notebook. Super side tangent. That read under the screen fucked me up. It was so cool. It's like a tray that pulls out, or like a
Yeah.
out.
Teeth and
I
eyeballs.
spent the longest amount of time on that puzzle, and I knew the solution.
It took me a while too.
Yeah.
I knew the solution. Do you know the problem?
What a
I wrote it down in my notebook, and you'll notice that the last two things here are DD. You'll notice if you look at the footage, that's not what's on the fucking screen. It's a B. I wrote it down wrong, and for like, if you go look at my fucking VOD, or I think it was almost a half hour, I was trying different solutions, and like losing my mind, and like, oh yeah, I had written down the fucking
Yeah.
solution. I had everything in front of me.
Yeah.
I don't know fucking letters. I was so
The real test is how dyslexic you are.
it was so fun watching Emily get stuck on puzzles that I didn't get stuck on, and then seeing her like breeze through puzzles I like took like 20-30 minutes to do.
It's
like
just
I was so pissed
Dark
off
Souls
and like
effect,
amazed
right?
at the same time. Yeah.
It's just
Like-
like, oh, you got stuck on that boss? Like, oh wow, you got stuck on that puzzle? That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the one sorry.
I was just gonna say it kind of goes back to the discussion point Nick had earlier about this being more a game that you want to like talk about with people. A, because of just the way it's structured, and then B, just like you'll have those moments of, okay, this puzzle like just made sense to me, and then this one I got really stuck on, and someone has the completely opposite experience.
So one of the puzzles that I think Nick is specifically talking about was an elevator puzzle at right the start of the game.
Fucking, oh my god, you got that so fucking fast. It angered me. Like that took me so long the first time I played that game.
Yeah, that took me a
And you
bit
just
too.
did it so quick. Oh.
Allow me to show you how I managed that and my thought process. So this is literally my first page of notes. You can see the 1, 2, 3, 4 of figuring out how to use the blocks, and then the next thing is a massive string of numbers.
Oh my
I went to
god.
every single office worker and talked to there's one column for one for stamp, and I wrote them all down, and I talked to everyone, and I wrote down all of those fucking numbers, and then I realized, see at the bottom, there's 2584, and then 1025 8 plus 1 plus 1. Because then I was like, oh, they had the same number. Oh, they had the same number. Oh, that must be right. And it was. And that was literally, I was looking for like patterns in the number.
What I was going to say too,
bottom left, because that was the bottom left cubicle.
When you were writing them down though, you started writing all of them. I'm like, Emily, if you talk to them again, they say a different number. Like you could have fucked yourself so badly, like just on that, if you didn't like get lucky.
I didn't catch that. I think I misunderstood when you said that. I thought you meant they all said different numbers. I'm like, yeah, and then I went for the ones that said the same thing.
No. So each of the rooms that isn't the correct room, they all say random numbers, and like if you talk to them again, they say another random number. So that like when you were writing the numbers down, I was like, oh my god, she's gonna take like 80 years to finish this puzzle because she's gonna try out a ton of numbers that like don't work.
You thought.
And you somehow like just like brute forced it, I think, on the first try, and I was like, my god, yeah.
Because I was like, oh, this is so fucking easy. Yeah, you just look the same, and that's the answer.
Yeah. The thing about it was just that so the puzzle to kind of go into it was like basically uppercase, lowercase. The judge tells you to only read the lowercase number. So the first one had the uppercase like I think it was like floor, and then it's like office or something. So the first one was like uppercase F, and then the bottom one was like a lowercase O. This isn't the exact puzzle, but this is just like an example of how it functioned. And then like you were just only supposed to read like the lowercase number. And they said that since all the mail comes from the same room, like you basically just had to find which one of the 4 rooms where all of them reported the same number, and then like you use the lowercase number out of the 2 of them to solve the puzzle. Emily didn't know that, but she solved the puzzle so fast, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Hacked into the mainframe.
Yeah.
And then, but conversely, the puzzle that
Yep.
outside of the one where I couldn't fucking read, the one that took me the most amount of time, and I like it was probably the most obvious was the 18 with
The poster,
an
yeah.
upside down.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a poster. It was a
Yep.
date. I think it was like March 18th. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an
Those
upside down
were
7 in it.
those
Yeah,
were
it was just
interesting because going back to the religious stuff, those were like the days like different religious people died. Like
Instance,
he had like posters of like when these religious people died, and they were important
Mhm.
for solving the like literally memorizing what was on the poster was important for solving that. Again, talking about like the eerie puzzles, like that was one of them. Like
yeah, and you can even see like the thing was find the hidden number in that poster,
yeah.
and I have a column here of the different combinations that I tried out, because I was like, okay, like I was just like fuck, like I tried a whole bunch of different things. Like I just kept fucking with it until it was like, oh, it was this answer that was relatively obvious, and I was just overthinking it.
Yeah, that's always what it is.
Yeah.
It's always overthinking.
The other thing too, I did want to say that I really did. I think that in general, the game like visually looks very bare bones for like the areas and like the parts of it. Again, things a lot of the time are like Yep.
Except the fact that everything is fucking neon. It's one
Yeah,
color,
that's what I was
but
gonna
it's
say. It's like
neon.
Mhm.
everything was like a neon color, except for after you purify it, and then it's just white. It's just white.
Yeah.
That's it. But the actual like when you got into like battles, oh, the monster design. Ooh, it's so good. Editor,
Yeah.
post the possum. Emily loves that possum. There's a ghost possum that Emily was like, I love this guy.
What was it called? Hold on.
Yeah, post it in the group
I don't know what
chat.
he was called. But I think it was really cool because
Not what I
again,
wanted.
Mortis
Oh my god, that's
Ghost.
not what I wanted. Don't put that in. Don't type that in.
Control Z,
Mortis.
Control Z. We must
Mortis
purify.
Ghost. my history.
Mhm.
Mortis Ghost is an artist first, so like every one of like the different monster designs was uniquely fucked up in a weird and like gross looking way, and it was very cool looking. Everything looks very nice. Each of the like NPCs, each of the like enemies, they're so cool looking, and I smile every time I see him like do new art for like the characters and things like that, which happened more recently because again this remake was coming out, and they added a bunch of new bosses that got like new Mortis Ghost art. So it was kind of a cool to see like how his style has kind of changed between the two, but still feel wholly the same in a way. It was interesting.
We're on Possum
I don't know,
Patrol.
like I'm looking at the monster designs. And, like, I loved them all. Like,
Yeah, they're
there's,
cool.
Yeah, they
so
were
there's
really
Possum.
well made.
So fun. They're also fun. Also, one of them is just a whale, and he's called a whale. And I was
Yeah.
wondering, because he's in the
Yeah.
library. Is that supposed to be Moby Dick?
I think
I could
so.
see
I think
that.
it's supposed to
I
be
was
like a
thinking about it.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Moby Dick. His eye is so small.
I think
Yeah.
in general too, it's just interesting as a big like juxtaposition. The same way it is for like the batter when you're on the flip side, but like when you're facing all these as the batter, it's the same thing. Where it's just like the overworld sprites for the burns are just like, oh, he's just like a goofy little guy. Maybe he's a little awkward, but like he's just trying to get through life. And then you go to the battle, it's like, you know, like really souped
I'm
up.
I was gonna say like most of the jump scares in this game, there are jump scares by the way, are like the ghost will go, ooh, and then they'll
I
go,
yeah. I had that burnt in. I kept mentioning it in the group chat. I'm like, I'm gonna think about like for the next
yeah.
four fucking weeks, man.
I don't know if it's intentional, but it kind of gave me the idea of like they're kind of just pacifying themselves with like drugs or something, like the way that they kind of like interact
Maybe.
with you. Like
Yeah.
that was like kind of my whole thing about that.
It'd be interesting if there's something where it's like because like the batter has some sort of presence to him that is unleashing that part. Like the tranquilizer
Yeah.
part is just like, you know, again what we're saying of just keeping like the guys on the surface of like I'm just a silly goofy guy, but then when the batter comes it's
Yeah.
like nah, now I gotta unleash my true
Well,
form like involuntarily even, you know.
yeah. I think that's like the whole point is like
Yeah.
they're just getting so stressed out that like it's causing their bodies to just completely explode. Like they've gotten to a point. And the batter's presence, like you see, like means that more specters start to appear because I think the specters only the first one doesn't have control over the specters, but the other two and the queen are supposed to have like control over them. So it seems
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
are like the specters themselves are responding to the presence of the batter, and while they're causing a nuisance, it's actually supposed to protect them in a weird way.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they say the queen controls the specters.
I did have like I was trying to figure out if the specters were like something else, in
Yeah.
terms of like we can interpret them as something, or they could just be what they are. Is the other thing. Um, I don't know. They were so neat. Um,
So
I was
neat.
gonna say they're so nifty. No, the design was really fun. There was something I was gonna say, and then I can. Oh,
You were just
the what are they called? The Ellens, the things that the people, right? Were they Ellened?
what up? Which ones?
The people that turn into burns.
They're just called burns, like I think in
No,
general.
the people first.
Yeah, I think they're
Before
just called burns.
no, they're something.
No,
They're called like
are they?
burned or something. Yeah, they have a name.
Oh, I thought they were just called burns.
No, they're people. I think they're called Ellened. Wait, 1 second. Because I wanted to Ellened off. Um. Anyway,
We'll get there.
whatever the hell they're called. I'm just getting Mistborn, and that's not what I
Mm.
want.
Yeah, don't worry about it though.
Yeah, but anyway, oh yeah, because that's the main character. It's the main character, Mistborn. Anyway, I read that a long time ago. They all have like their different neuroses, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah,
Like an obsession with safety, an addiction to sugar, like
the sugar
a
ones were funny. Their eyes were like wide as fuck, and they were like,
well, and those are the ones that
Yeah.
yeah,
Funny.
those are the ones that turn into burns at the implication of like you're gonna take their
yeah,
sugar. And
yeah,
also the sugar thing was so cool. The fact that it's like a Soylent Green situation.
yeah. Everyone's addicted to sugar, but you essentially see that they pile bodies into a furnace and turn it into sugar. So this thing that like everyone is addicted to in Zone 3 is just their dead compatriots from getting overworked and then exploding.
It's Soylent Green. It
Amazing.
is fucking Soylent
Yep.
Green.
Yep.
Except if Soylent Green was addictive, which I guess it is because that they have.
Well,
The oceans are fucking dead.
what's her name's Sugar, right? The one character.
Yeah,
She's also
yeah.
addicted too. Like you gotta see like all of them are like going fucking crazy over it. But the batter talking about like purification, he doesn't even want to touch the substance as well. That's like another thing. He's like, oh, it's kind of gross. But also he saw how it was made, so I mean, I don't blame
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch it.
It'd be funny if
The
he was like going to like
Elson. Sorry.
oh
oh,
Elson,
there you
right, right, right,
Elson.
right,
go.
right. If he was
Ellen is the
like
character
going
from
to take it and then he sees like the backstory on it and he's like, on second thought.
No, yeah, just pours it out.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like I like Zone 3 a lot. I also think Zone 3 had one of the more interesting puzzles for me personally, with like like you get that kind of map early on, and then like you have to like walk between the tiles to like kind
Ooh.
of figure like get to each of the rooms.
That took me a while.
That one took me a bit. It was tricky.
Cause okay, I don't know if that was required because I don't even feel like I remember a map. I feel like I was just honestly a lot of the like puzzles I would just like brute force it of just like trial and error. Like all the ones where it was like the 9 boxes, because that happened like quite a lot that it came up.
Yeah.
So with that, it would just be like, okay, I'm gonna try this one and then the one right next to it, and then I would just go process elimination. Okay, so it's not that one. I know it's this first box and the third box, and then some of them you have to like combo it. Like you have to like click a box twice during your sequence throughout.
Yeah.
So those were just like
Yeah,
trial and error. They were simple, but they were like,
Yeah,
time
they were
consuming in a
pretty-
way, just because you had to go through all the options.
One of those I did have to do a trial and error. The one that took one that the only thing that I didn't take notes on was and this one tripped me up. The playing card with the leaves on the back. What direction they
Oh,
were
Matt,
facing.
I think Matt sent me that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I
in the last zone, right?
Yeah, that's in the room,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried a bunch of fucking permutations with that one.
Yeah. I had the same thing. So like, I tried it for a while, and honestly, there was a point during my guessing that I was like very close, but like not quite right. Like it was like I was doing more than I had to basically for like the amount of buttons that I was pressing, but I was like choosing the right ones out of it. And then when I did look it up, because that was the only one I had to, because I was literally like trying it for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I couldn't anymore. So I looked it up, and I still didn't quite get why it was only like half of what I had been doing. Like I understood why you would come to that conclusion in terms of like picking those from the top and bottom, but I didn't quite understand it 100% still, even after looking it up.
Yeah,
That
it was
was
just the
one of-
horizontal leaves that had the stem coming from the left side.
Yeah.
That's what you had to like pick. That was one of the easier puzzles for me. Like I don't know why. Like I just like breezed through it. Like I knew exactly what to do as soon as I saw it, and it was just like,
I guess it's just like a spatial thing, because it's like the leaf was like turned around, so I kept trying to like think about, okay, so what if like this one is like this way, and I literally like took a picture of it, and like my preview on my computer, like it allows you to rotate. I kept fucking rotating that thing over and over again. I was like, okay, wait, so if that's there now, like I think it just confused me more. But that was my strategy going into it, because I was trying to understand, okay, like which ones are the buttons applying to first before I try and figure out like, okay, which one out of the batch now do I have to click as a result.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I thought it was like an order thing too, like at first, because it was like there were two that were like next to each other.
Yeah.
A couple of them that looked like they had been like rotated 90 degrees.
Exactly.
Like, oh,
exactly.
Yeah, I was going nuts.
I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta go like 1, 2, skip, 4, and then like this skip, and then it'll just be like nah, like too bad, try again. Like,
and there was a red herring too. One of the rooms had a cross in it, and then it had 4 dots at like the corners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's it. That's what you have to do. And it was like nothing was happening. It was like, okay, maybe I'm like misjudging it, and it's actually the that are in the middle.
That is like an interesting thing in general too, that like the game does that not just like once or twice. I think there was a few times where it's just like, all right, we're gonna throw some like random fucking numbers during this boat ride, so like Write it down if you want.
Attention.
Maybe it's important, maybe it's not. That's for you to find out and face the repercussions of your actions.
Most of the time, if I saw shit like that, I was just like, all right, jot it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one in particular, like in the postal office where you're like running around and like it was like on the first day there were 3 big frogs. I was like, all right, I'm writing down each and every one of these. I'm gonna write it in order and like I'm gonna figure out the puzzle because that's gonna be like a codec thing. And of course I was right. Like
yeah, like in the library, where is it? When we were in the library, I was writing down like the summaries of like the Worm Children, which by the way, I have a book on my shelf.
Yeah.
That is the 9th Reign. It's a trilogy. It has worm people in it. I was so happy because it seemed very similar.
Yeah, they're all real books, right?
I don't know, are they? I didn't think so.
I think some of them are fake, but I think like some of them weren't. But I don't know which ones.
Because there was I don't know. I assume that they were made up for the world of the game, but
listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you happen to have an exquisite understanding of literature,
of French literature,
drop it down.
Drop it down below,
or send it to her. Yeah,
just send us the book in French and we can't read it, so it'll be really cool.
Yeah,
I know someone who can, but I can't. But yeah, like I was like the Toad King. Like I was writing mini summaries of all of and like the numbers that were like the 700,000 worm children or whatever. Like okay, maybe that's it. Yeah, like you and the thing like to your point, it knows by the time you're in the room, by the time you're in like the end game, it knows that you're paranoid about every piece of information you receive at this juncture.
Yeah.
And there's like the trivia, like the dudes that you have to go through that have like, get it wrong. It's like
wait until next week. There's literally no next week. You're killing everything now. Like
yeah. I was trying to I was trying to figure out like, oh, what does that mean? Like, how do I get the next day to happen? Like, I tried waiting in real time too, thinking that there was like a Stanley Parable-esque timer or something. No, it's nothing. It's just nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah. I think the joke is just that like they give you the days of the week as like your armor. Like think about it, like they give you like Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday. So I think that's the whole joke is like, oh, you missed it. Wait until next week and then you can do the puzzle again and I'll give you a day of the week. But yeah, I think that I guess like my final note too is that I really also just enjoyed a lot of the boss fights. I think my favorite one is the really big dude who like when you like in zone 3, I forget his name, but he's just he's just like, dude, you can't beat me. I'm at peak form. And then like you get into the boss arena and he's like, it's so funny. And then like you run away from the fight and he's just like down the hall.
Because I was wondering, like, walking into that boss fight, I was like, man, like this sequence here is kind of like annoying to like navigate my character. And then he starts running after me and I'm like, oh, that's why it's annoying. It all makes sense.
So funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so funny. And then I like the that boss fight because it was the only time like I think the pixels change other than the final boss where you're just like 2 inches tall and fighting him.
Amazing. Yeah, right. That's true.
Yeah, it was a cute thing. But okay, so this is what I'm gonna dub Hardcore Nicholas Corner for those who went real hardcore gamer. That's what we're calling it. Hardcore. Hard corner. A hard corner?
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that one.
Damn.
So
we're workshopping.
Yeah, we're workshopping. So there were, I think, a bunch of new secret bosses. They were all supposed to be challenge bosses for the game. The game is honestly like relatively pretty easy to get through for the most part. There's like 1 or 2 relatively tough fights. I'll give you like but I think the toughest fights in the games are definitely the additional fights. There are two of them in particular. There's technically three. It's more of a puzzle fight called Pisces that's a little tricky. But you basically just like fight the different like members of the zodiac. You get like Aries, Cancer, things like that. And it's pretty cool. They use Mortis Ghost like new artwork, so everything's a little bit more rounded. It's a little bit like more alive, I'd say. And to get into them, you kind of like find these little like eyeballs like in the world that you like talk to, and then they philosophy at you, and you fight them. And it gets you into this like little red like background before like you fight them. It's pretty visually unique. A lot of what's cool about those fights as well is that the actual attacks um I thought were really sick because they added like real world elements. Someone like took their hand and like recorded themselves with like a little crab claw like pinching your character, and I'm just like, this is so cool. Like
Yeah.
they just added this as like again, it's not a part of the main game in any way, but it's like a neat way for returning players to get a little bit more enjoyment. And the bosses are really hard. I think like the Capricorn, I think, is the last one. He's a goat. Dude is the fucking hard, like one of the hardest bosses I have ever played. You do like two damage to him per turn, and the boss battle goes on for like 20-30 minutes. Like it's so hard. Um and I kind of stumbled into the room thinking that I'd have like time to like prep my character, and then I didn't, and I had to like on the fly like start maneuvering and pivoting things. But I think it was the first time I've ever lost to a boss in that game, and it was just because it was very tricky. But I think part of what they're trying to say about this and with the remake is that since they exist in the world is never ending, and the game off has repeated. I think that's the implication of what the special bosses are trying to say. And I also think that's the implication of like what Chosen Anew, which is the final boss battle theme, is trying to say as well. It's that even though we turned off this world, it's inevitable and it's going to happen again, whether it be necessarily the same person or not. That's like, have fun with that one.
Think about that
That's
for
why I say
a
it's
few
not a remake.
sleepless
Yeah.
nights. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in general, and then I'll
Yeah.
kind of close on my
Yeah.
thoughts, but like I do like JRPGs in general just for the idea of like the secret bosses are, you can make them fucking hell all difficult, but it's like you structure it in a way where because they're optional, it's like you're only dealing with that because you wanted to do this. It's voluntary.
Yeah.
If you really were vibing with this game, or if you really wanted to see the ending and you had to interact with all this optional thing, like then that's cool. Like, and it serves it better then because chances are that you're more prepped with whatever like abilities you need or like loadout or whatever. Like, so that I always appreciate in terms of like a JRPG trope is like they can get difficult, but like a lot of times it's like, okay, if you're going to really have a difficulty spike, like you're doing it to yourself. It's not that the core game design is super, super tricky. And then I think to close on like my thoughts on this game in general, I'll echo a bit of what I said like earlier about how I do appreciate about it being like this note-taking game, that it's really the first kind of game I've played like that. And it's not often these days that I really have a game that I feel like is kind of its own subgenre and like makes me want to like play more of that subgenre. So like that was interesting to me. I think I definitely want to like, as I said, try out something like maybe like Tunic or even maybe like Animal Well eventually, which like when that first came out, I was like, nah, that's definitely not for me. But I feel like now after playing this, I'm like, okay, maybe that is for me. Like maybe that is something I can get more to. So I think if that interests you, I think any of the themes that we talked about, honestly, it's just like a great game to talk about critically and like in a way like we are in terms of just like overthinking it, because it definitely is a game that lends itself to that kind of analysis. So I definitely think it's worth playing. I think there's a lot of genres you can pull from like RPG note taking games, or if you just want a game that has a lot of meaning going into it and can have, as Emily said before, a lot of meanings that you just take from it, your interpretation of it, which is always interesting when we're talking about this. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, like I said, this is now my favorite game that we've played. And for me, my metric for what a favorite game is, or not even game, favorite book, favorite show, favorite whatever. For me, is it's something that makes me think about it
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing something else, or like 2 weeks after I finish, 3 weeks after I finish. Things that like stay with me. Um, Bad things can also stay with me, and then that is on the other side. But like, I think I want to. Normally, when I wrap up a game, like I had a great time, I'm not going to replay it. I reread books, I rewatch movies and shows. Games, not really. And I'm not the biggest fan of JRPGs. I think they're fun. I do like them, but there are some genre conventions that are frustrating for me. My least favorite part of Pokemon is the random encounters, because if I want to get to my next place, it's frustrating to be interrupted for me. I don't like looping back. I get lost in maps very easily. That kind of thing. So for me, I don't usually reach for a JRPG unless I'm specifically looking for something in that game. I want to replay this game. I want to replay this game once we get off the call. I'm not going to do that because of other things, but it is something that I finished and I want to go back at it. It's making me think about it. I will say, like, as much kind of pretentious to academic shit as I've been saying, I'm not someone who believes that a game has to be highbrow to be good. I am someone who actually believes the opposite. I think highbrow doesn't good inherently. Highbrow. My favorite things are trash. That's just how it is. I don't believe in important literature. I genuinely don't. And I say that as someone getting my PhD in literature. Like, I don't think there's such a thing as different each person. But I do think that this game manages to both be very fun and also to say something interesting, at least to me.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that is special. And especially with such a minimalist visual style, but it's still interesting. All of the, like, the Jaffet boss fight, the bird, is so horrifying in how it's parasitizing this character's brother. But it's not gory. It's not over the top. It's just dialogue and just the knowledge of what these little pixels are supposed to be showing. And it's done so well. I cannot recommend this game enough. It's not long playthrough games, is that it's easier to recommend than, like, oh yeah, go play Skyrim. Okay.
Good luck.
Alright, sure. I will do like a little side recommendation if I can. One of my favorite games, possibly my favorite game. My favorite games are Guild Wars 2 and this game called We Know the Devil. It's another game that is in a game genre that I don't enjoy. I don't like visual novels very much. It was important to me for a lot of reasons, personal reasons. However, it does the same thing of being but having incredible audio, incredible sound design, having a really interesting religious narrative. I'm not a religious person in the slightest. In fact, I tend to get frustrated by over narratives. But it is religious horror in a way that is so interesting. That is the best way I can describe it in terms of just the vibes are very. It's also a very game to play. We Know the Devil. I fucking love it. And this, I think, reminded me of that vibe-wise and content-wise. And again, if you can make me like a genre that I don't reach for and make me want to play it over and over and over again, I have 60 hours in We Know the Devil. It's a game that takes 2 hours to play and get every ending. that is for me absolute fucking peak, and off is a very thing.
For me personally, this has been kind of a long time coming. My brother had recommended me off back probably 2009, 2010. When I first played it, I was kind of astounded by the world of it. But as somebody who honestly, like, I don't think I was like smart enough to solve a lot of these puzzles, like reading and paying attention to like very minor information wasn't really my forte. I wasn't that type of person who would like spend a lot of time and commit to these worlds and understanding these worlds. So when I first played it the first time around, I eventually dropped it because of multiple factors. I think like again, the attention span thing, and then also I honestly was genuinely kind of scared by it. Like a lot of the audio, the visuals just pretty much disturbed me, and I kind of wrote it off for years. But I always had it like in the back of my head, like if October is rolling around or September is rolling around, you have to get back to it and you have to play it. Seeing that like Mortis Ghost had the love of all of these different people who were releasing like games from RPG Maker or just like RPGs at the time kind of come back and say, "Hey, you should give this one another run. You should modernize it so that people who have never experienced it before can experience it, or for those who have experienced it to kind of go back and revisit it because I think that there's something worthwhile here." And I think that that's kind of like the experience you do get. You get something that's very worthwhile. It's interesting to talk about like visually, narrative, audio, sound, everything story-wise. Like it's all very engaging, and for such a short like little narrative, such a short like RPG, it's just worth playing at least like once in your life. And I remember when I had finished the game this time around, for like a solid hour, I just kind of sat in my bed, like staring at my ceiling, and I couldn't go to sleep because I was kind of like disturbed or frightened by how quiet things were, how like isolated I felt from the people within even my own home, and like how scary it was to just kind of be in the dark again. And it's like that's like the feeling I feel like best represents like what off is. It's that sense of isolation. There's the sense of there being people who could save you, but instead you kind of choose to go into the dark. You choose to just kind of vanish and let the world like burn around you. And I did get to sleep that night, but honestly, like I had so many thoughts and so many things that I wanted to say, and I was really excited to just kind of see like Emily and Matt dive into it. So those are my thoughts.
Cool.
Oh,
Well, we'll end it there, and we're gonna spin for next month
Spin the
yeah.
wheel.
after I stop recording. So we're gonna keep it a mystery, but thanks again as always for joining us for another Save State session, and we'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye. I love you.